it's legit better than a Thunder Hammer, because if there's two bosses, you can actually do it to both of them and they're getting stunned by it. You get 12 or something. It's ridiculous.
Did you ever doubt my skill? A veteran should be.
My skill? Just triple dockets on every character. And I'm poor. I just noticed now, Healy, you have a value skin.
Thank you for noticing.
Vacuum capsule.
Okay, thanks.
Stumping out weapons in war gear.
Remove those dumb resources? Yeah. At least I want them to be removed from the map. So you can just play the game normally and get your Oh, the gunner knockback. Jesus.
That was like 3 bullets, you went flying in the corner. Very nice.
I'll just lock 5% for it. Fine.
Hi, doggy.
Bye.
Actually, you know what is surprising? The weak spot and crit values on the Iron Helm. So the heavies are surprisingly bad. And I think what I'd probably do is
Especially uncharged, I could feel sometimes like if you have something that's maniac, it takes just 3 years to kill it.
yeah, well, but it's yeah, and I think it's like I know kind of why, but I would definitely probably what I would do with Thunderhammer in the short run is reduce the base unyielding multiplier, and slightly pump the finesse on the generic sweep and on the overhead when charged, so that you have to hit a weak spot in order to get the big bonk. 'Cause part of it is also that, like, if you're like, obviously good Thunderhammer players try and hit weak spots, but the amount of damage you do just hitting a Plugrin or a spawn in the butox is way too high.
Yeah, I aim for the 4Gs a lot.
Yeah, and it's something I noticed a lot with the with a lot of the bosses. It's like you really you really should be caring about the weak spots on a boss. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, just on a Thunderhammer in general.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's like it's much less.
What happens only brings out I got bored.
And one of the things that I did notice when I was testing like parry kills on the Chaos Spawn is like it's actually surprisingly difficult to repeatedly hit the spawn in the head with the riposte.
If he's like if he's moving you at all, it will just be straight up impossible sometimes.
It depends on the attack, and there is a way to cheese it. You back yourself against the wall, so he doesn't knock you back. But that feels cheesy.
And also, you have your back against the wall now.
That's actually not bad. It depends. It depends if you know you have your right side clear. If you're against a wall and you have right side clear, you're totally safe. It sounds dumb, but you genuinely are. You can actually spot dodge his overhead.
You can spot dodge everything he does, right?
Not quite. Some stuff. See, I'm not sure about it. I know that some
what
stuff
causes
does
the
have dodge
weird
cap.
shit? Like, he does this weird thing where he feels like you're getting pushed away while dodging, and it looks like he's hitting you, but you're actually dodging it. Oh, I
I
shouldn't
don't
die to
think you
that.
can get pushed
It's
while
weird.
dodging, but what it is, if he does an attack where he leans forwards, his model like pushes you back, I think. Because he's like making, you know what I mean? Like you just get nudged back by him invading the space. If you block or parry his stuff, you get pushed back. And so actually, for example, his 4-hit combo, even you can't chain parry it because of timing, but you have to go like parry first hit, dodge second, which also then clears the third because of how the mechanics might work, and then you have to walk towards him to parry the fourth. If you parry his overhead slam, the knockback pushes you far enough back that if you do the follow-up light attack immediately, it'll whiff, but if you walk forwards a tiny bit, you can make it land. And there's actually loads of really niche tech that would never be used in a game, but the more I was like, that's actually kind of cool. I agree.
It's also, it gets really wacky on things.
Well, the thing is, he's actually easier to dodge. And like I saw this in a game recently where I was against the wall and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get dodge caught, and then I just ghosted everything he did. And I was just like, oh, I didn't realize quite how generous it was.
No, it feels almost like bugged when you really
Well, I
notice
mean,
it.
to be honest, it's kind of like it's difficult to not have that.
Yeah. I feel like the other way to do it would just be horrible.
The thing about like joints for weak spots is I think the individual joints are difficult, but there certainly should be way more interesting weak spots. The problem is at the moment that because of the way the melee hitboxes work, they are so aggressive in picking up weak spots. Like, because of the way the priority system works, is basically you just kind of, almost every melee weapon tends to intercept a large number of hitboxes at once in the frame that it makes contact with an enemy. And the hitbox priority system resolves that to give you what you hit. So if you had a joint weak spot, you would swing through the enemy, you'd get like a bunch of returns including their chest, and if you have weak spots right
I
on
love
the
this
weapon,
game.
it would just always give you that weak spot, so it wouldn't really feel like aiming. But I do think there's definitely, there definitely should be more interesting weak spots. So, but no, I agree, and stuff like the back of Crusher's ankles where they don't have any armor, but they can do that. What is the name for Psyker always makes me laugh. Because I just automatically hear ooh, ee, ooh, ah.
That's what his other Psyker's name.
No, absolutely correct, because you're absolutely correct. If it stops to mass, it
So it
depends.
fucks some dueling sword attacks, right?
Yeah, but again, it depends on how far it goes in. Basically, because it does like series of casts into the thing. So it just depends how much the cast intersects with. I would need to talk to. I think there is a way to make it more precise. But I think it would have to be precise on a like angle basis kind of thing. But I completely agree, and particularly for stuff like swords. Like, the ideal with a sword would be, for example, you would sever someone's head at the neck, right? So if you hit the helmet, it's a fail state, but if you hit the neck, you get to the head that totally.
Do you think they have the know-how to do something like this?
Oh no, they absolutely can. It's just that's not what the current implementation of the system is good at, because the system...
Because it's not planned for it.
Yeah, and also it's just that most of the time the precision, particularly because if you're on ping, it's much easier to say if you're somewhere within the head range, you're good. Whereas if the enemy's moving his head up and down and so on. So I think it's a little bit tricky, but
That's the first time I've seen a mutie mantle because there was fire in the way.
Look, enemies have some really degenerate behaviors when it comes to avoiding fire, where they will just end up taking like a stupidly long path.
Oh, okay. Guard broken because of Plague Ogre. Bye-bye.
Monsieur Plumber.
Just parry it with a Night Lord.
But I mean, part of the reason that I think they ranged only weak spots is for exactly that reason, which is that the ranged hit detection is so precise, whereas a lot of the melee stuff is less so. Zap him in the face!
We gotta do something with the Plague Ogre, man.
Give him a gun. The Plague Ogre shows up and he's dual-wielding Ripper guns. Just blasts your whole team.
He's got like stubbers duct tape on each arm, and you can knock him off.
Yeah.
Is there a ranged variant of the Plague Ogre in the house? Or was that all a dream?
Yeah, he has a model.
Oh, okay. Bye bye. Well, if I'm here, might as well kill the bomber.
But yeah, I definitely think melee stuff having different reasons to hit different areas on enemies with melee weapons is something that the game definitely lacks at the moment, even though it has the systems in place in principle to encourage that. And part of that would be
add
making
like
armor more simple.
whole cool level of that.
Yeah, and I think in particular for stuff like, for things like leg shots, for example, if Maulers had unarmored on their thighs, for example, and flak
Four
wasn't,
big guys.
yeah, and if flak wasn't as like paper, then you know with a devil claw maybe you'd be chopping at their legs, stuff like that. No, okay, exactly. I 100% agree. Like my view is that there should be two different things at the same time. The first thing is that in general, any attack that's designed to hit multiple enemies should inherently take a small penalty to penetration on flak and carapace. So it's like, you know, if you have the base like damage of the weapon, they're like 10%, 0.1 ADM lower on flak and carapace, because a sweep attack is not designed to do that. And then overheads and uppercuts get a small reach block bonus.
I was lucky.
But then also, yeah. It's also, I do think that there is some interesting stuff they could do with custom stagger animations, which they kind of have support for, with the so-called kill shot stagger animations that are meant to keep the head in place. And there are definitely some weapons where, if your special did a stagger that was useful to you, that like exposed their head stably for like a second or two, to set them up for an easy headshot, that would be cool. Whereas right now, it's in general the stagger system just does whatever the stagger system does.
God, I love Momentum so much.
God, I love value so much. Very balanced.
I mean, Yennefer, like the problem is like in when it comes to the environment, the hood detection is too accurate, and there's stuff that is modeled that you can hit and get your shots stopped by that just shouldn't be the case because it just doesn't add anything. Like, what purpose does it serve the gameplay that you can shoot this and not shoot through it? You know what I mean? Oh, very silly.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I've had that experience a lot when I'm using stuff like the las pistol, and you're shooting someone through a chain link fence, and then you realise that each of the individual links are like ruining your shots, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. Shit should be melted. So yeah, you're right, Kek. Like, if you chuck out an undercut, it's not just like, oh, okay, this has boosted finesse, this is more damage to XYZ. It's like, hey, now you can actually hit their legs, and that's the cool thing about the undercut that you don't know.
Well, but also, of all the attacks that should be good into helmets, uppercuts, right?
Yeah.
Helmets ain't protecting the underside of your jaw. And I think in particular for swords, there's all those sword attacks that you see in like fencing manuals and stuff, where you're essentially stabbing with the sword. Like stab attacks in general are something that don't really get used for what they should be used for. Like, you know, penetrating armor and stuff. Because, you know, sweeps just are so good.
You can't hide from me.
The double, I agree. There was a brief, glorious period where there was some,
We've lost the others.
like the ragdolls for one of the Ogrin punches were so absurd. It was so good.
I'm sensing.
You could mid-air juggle enemies.
Love the grenade gauntlet. I miss when the slap could just like get people stuck in a loop of Devil May Cry style, like juggling.
Yeah.
They need to bring that back. That was actually fun.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It really
yeah.
wasn't that unhealthy, man. Like, who was complaining about that? Seriously. So you can
Well, I
juggle
mean,
sniper.
I think part yeah, for some enemies it's fine, but I think part of it is just that, like, what you really want is for because the thing about stagger, right, is like you need it to be something that players care about, but without making it so that it's like
It
a
stops the
forced
game from
requirement.
existing.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing about stagger is that stagger has two different functions, which sounds weird, but it's like stagger is CC, which, like, yeah, obviously it's stopping the enemy acting, but stagger is also a trigger for allowing you to do stuff in 1v1s. And the way stagger works in this game at the moment is
Even in
almost-
1vx, it's an
Yeah,
enabler.
yeah.
It creates openings. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I just mean that, like, the way it works at the moment is, like, in general, the only time people deliberately think about stagger is when interrupting rages / crushers, or when dealing with mass number of mobs, but you don't have to do anything special. You just swing or push. And like,
Yeah.
okay, push.
And it doesn't
being
matter
all...
which swing you do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And push being all you need to deal with like horde chaff is fine. Ogre and push stopping rages is to me quite funny, but at the same time it's also like another sign of just how brain dead the class is. But I think particularly with some enemies, it's unclear how you would do this, but you would want stuff like you have to actually work harder to get proper stagger on crushers. But the system is very parameter driven at the moment, so there's a lot of behavior that just comes out of the system which isn't necessarily what you would want.
Can you go for the hack though?
You can go for it now. Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, Rage Cage PC, that's actually, like, one of the things is, you know, that's stuff like when an enemy is staggered, they expose a weak spot you can't otherwise get to. That kind of thing. But it's just, the problem is that
The
it's
jaw,
very...
like you heavy stagger a crusher, and like the jaw part of his armor gets dislocated and falls a bit, and then
Yeah,
he has a recovery animation where he puts it back in place.
Yeah, exactly. But the issue is that with all this stuff, you always have to be careful that you don't end up making it so that all you do is make it so there's only one way to kill the enemy.
Yeah, and it's the
I
thing
think-
you just use every single time. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the issue with stagger, is that right now they don't want... It's like stagger is easy enough to get hold of that you don't have to focus on it, but so high that a lot of enemies never really act most of the time if you're dealing with them properly. And, you know, I would want to rework stagger, but wasn't there an incident in Vermintide 2 where after Winds of Magic they attempted to rework stagger and it ended up just making the game actually much more one-dimensional and less fun for everyone?
Yeah, this is when they added this like stagger state, like damage multiplier. Like when an enemy is in stagger stage 1, it takes X amount of damage. When it staggers stage 2, it takes X amount more damage. And yeah, it just didn't really add anything at all.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. Is just like
Left back down step though.
I think to do it properly, you just need to put in a whole bunch of different mechanics and interacting systems, and then play with them for a bunch of time and see what falls out. It's very difficult to kind of like get your calculator out and work out what's going to be fun. And I think
Yeah,
the
you
issue
need
with a lot of this
tangible-
stuff. Yeah, because a lot of it sounds like it would be fun, and then you do it, and you're like, there's actually just there's all these different things, and you only end up doing one thing. So I don't know. Yeah. And it's also, especially with stuff like this, there's just a lot of things where it's almost a requirement that they're able to stagger you anyway. Like grenades, for example. Grenades should be staggering. That's what your brain expects. And it's like, okay, every vet gets baseline 3 grenades that are an AoE stagger. Well,
And he can regen them.
yeah, so it's like,
I don't know
well,
if lock him up.
you know, whatever you do to this system, these exist. So, you know.
Yeah, grenade regen is like very boring, one-dimensional, and just, I don't know. If you're gonna have grenade regen, it should be like super conditional and should just be scaling so well with the game
but-
the way
but-
it is right now.
But think
And
about
it's
Rumble.
also,
28 shots of AoE stagger.
Get me, Healy. Healy, I'm right here. Come.
And like, the truth is, although I love the Rumbler, it probably shouldn't exist.
yeah.
I need my med pack back.
Like, this is
It
the
needs-
problem with the...
It needs to have more of its shit centered on actually
Does
doinking
it show
things.
something to
right?
grab back there?
Yes. Another med pack, I think downstairs.
Yeah, the Rumbler should be a shape charge launcher, but that ship
Please.
sailed. But, I mean, well, not necessarily, but but there's just quite a few things where it's just like, at a certain point, when you make something in a game like this, you're committing to making it function as the player expects. You know, it's like the bolter, right? If the bolter didn't make people explode, remove it. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be the thing that it is. And that's like... Because I feel like there should be a really high level, like, fix the entire game take. But I don't actually think there is. I just think there's loads of individual things where you're always going to end up with some aspects of things being unsatisfactory because the game has these competing desires. And part of it is just that if you're committed, and you know, I think one of the cool things about this game is that they are committed to a certain level. I'm going to say naturalism, even though it isn't really naturalism, but you know what I mean, like
adhering to a fantasy.
Yeah, and to an extent, that is always going to violate internal balance. And part of the response to that is, well, that means the highest difficulty essentially has to have a certain element of the AI director just saying random bullshit and go. And you just make people buckle under the weight of nonsense. I think that, I'm not saying that it always inherently has to be nonsense. You can reduce that, which I very much want to, but I think to a certain extent...
I pushed a dog and I did not. Big screen dog.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not Zell anymore. I may have killed myself. And I can't sprint, because the game is unsprinting me over and over. Please sprint!
Yeah, okay, exactly. I mean, that was very much... Like, that's been my view, is that I mostly just chase the things that are like... It doesn't really matter what your position on anything is, this is nonsense that shouldn't happen. Like, chain stun from gunners, or like silent
speaking out
or whatever. Dude, I'm so glad that Reddit has spotted the gunner chain stun thing. Because I really want to deal with him.
Strip down, my beloved.
Drip you down in a sink.
Oh, but I think part of it, but again, you know, it's like, I have a clip where like, I'm caught out by a gunner against a wall, and like 4 dodges get eaten and I die from like full health bar on that. And one of the problems is that if you show that to someone, they're like, yes, you're standing like 5 feet away from someone with a heavy machine gun and they're shooting you. That's what happens. You know what I mean? Like, it is actually, it functions from a sort of conceptual point of view. Like, you fucked up. Your mistake was being next to machine gun guy without disabling him. And it's like, yeah, but it also feels terrible. You know what I mean? It's like...
That was almost really bad.
I love it when you just all those mutants standing around waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
Damn it.
They should just start passing you around, like throwing you like a volleyball.
Yeah.
Club Destiny, only M1 voice strike is keen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, to me, it's just like, if you're gonna be instantly killed by something, if you're effectively you're gonna be stun locked to death by a gunner against a wall, make it so they kill you in one hit. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, just don't pretend that I'm still controlling the character and eat my inputs.
I think you killed me. Oh. I was stuck inside something for a bit.
What did you... What did a guy trip into you because of the
You
grenade?
blasted the pouch first.
Oh, I just threw blind, I didn't even see an enemy. The door's open and I throw a grenade. My bad.
Secure the consignment yard. We'll get your support team in the air.
Oh, there's a green bulwark on me. It's over.
Don't worry, I got it.
Final boss.
It's that easy.
I mean, and just going back to Stagger for a second, I think part of the issue is that what you actually would need is for enemies to have clearly signaled ways to stop you from staggering them. But if you do that badly, you end up with the most frustrating gameplay experience known to man.
Where did you come from, you piece of shit? I turn around, I get a face full of shield bash.
God, that needs to go. Just thinking about the shield bash run and I'm not suffering from it is anxiety inducing.
At least the shield bash doesn't do any damage.
Yeah.
It makes me take like full damage.
Yeah. It doesn't do any damage, it just causes you to die.
Yeah.
By itself, it's not a threat. It's just like annoying.
Well, no, but it
The
used to.
moment there's
That was.
another
But it was much worse. Like when it actually did damage, that was because there's no
That was
wind up.
gaming.
Yeah, you're just standing, and a bunch of bullets have you in a corner, and you just instantly just take damage. Okay, cool. And you couldn't even block it in that situation because if you blocked it, you got guard broken. And if you didn't block it, you took damage. So, okay, cool.
These them flashback.
I'm having a good time.
Arms and unguents.
Here's your appeal. You're welcome.
Thank you for your service.
It's funny to take out Smite every now and then. Maybe just using it for the stat increases. That's the true.
The
Psyker
brain
build.
rot, stick and hold. Did that lose tracking? There you go.
Heads down. Doesn't give the heretics any satisfaction. You hear me?
Hello.
What?
I know you like to waste ammo boxes, but can you not waste mine? Because I kinda wanna use the grenades from
Oh, I'm sorry.
Killed Impro.
Dude, chain cracking at the bosses from ammo boxes is like.
It's
So foul.
so fucking foul, man.
Dude, the problem is like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, Thunderhammer Zealot looking at you like, look at what they need to mimic a fraction of my power. But then at the same time, it's like, actually, if you're on your own, it's legit better than a Thunderhammer because if there's two bosses, you can actually do it to both of them and they're getting stunned by it. You get 12 or something. It's ridiculous.
Did you ever doubt my skill? A veteran should be.
My skill? Insane.
And is this Nightmare? Can I get some fuel? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, shotgunners are also like, there's a lot of enemies that get screwed by how they spawn, and shotgunners are one of them. Because shotgunners, have you noticed how often shotgunners spawn in a, not just spawn, but the first time you see them, they're literally standing in a line.
Just in a clump, and he comes flex middle of energizers.
Yeah, but it's like, it's one of those things where I've just noticed, legitimately one of the, it actually makes them so much worse because so many weapons have enough cleave to kill multiple of them at the same time.
Oh yeah. But I mean, even when they spawn as MBNs, they just need changes because they're in that really unfortunate category of non-threatening and extremely annoying.
Yeah. No, I mean, shotgunners need help, but I mean, it's like,
That's why we need them on a fucking timer, man, like stalkers and shit.
just every so often, just a shotgunner shows up.
Just
Honey,
range
it's
it, like
time for your shotgunners.
occasional like ranged enemy spawns, yeah, on timers like the rest of the game.
I mean, I would have want them to have more interesting behavior in general. But
What?
I'd want them to have more interesting behavior in general.
Yeah.
Like, part of it is also that their
Make them a
movement is
hybrid
super
elite.
slow. Yeah, their movement's pretty slow.
Is the trooper dead, beloved?
Make them aggro gap closers that pull out a big melee in melee.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like how the way to make a shotgun guy fold is to run at him in melee. And oh, he's diffused.
And I don't know, he kinda does that in range too. I headshot him once and he actually folds physically.
Is that a
I
recon
need to
knife
kill
gun
him,
reference?
That's a headshot playing Yakatan reference. Or just any form of fucking range.
Oh! No.
They're all
Yeah, like shotgun and melee noise, the scab shotgun and melee noise is like, it always makes me scared that there's a mauler slamming someone and then you look around, it's just a shotgun hitting someone with a shovel. Feels like, what? Why does it make that noise?
It's scary, yeah.
What?
Oh!
What did you do, Rob?
I was hitting the Robin from below and I just got killed by a silent enemy.
When you close on a shotgunner, he should go to pull out his melee weapon, except surprise his melee weapon is a sawn off.
Oh yeah, it's a sawn off with an axe and.
Except he's like, surprise, I have another shotgun!
I've got another fucking sword.
Make shotgunner Stormvermin, I like the idea. Stormvermin with the shotgun, let's go. It's exactly the kind of density that I was imagining for them. Like, we kinda need that.
Well, but I mean,
Slightly less armored, faster, speedier, more numerous elites.
yeah, well, I mean, you know, if you gave shotgunners shields, like, you know, made them more like breaches, so they have a shield that covers their chest, and you have to actually shoot them in the head, that would immediately change how they feel.
Yeah.
We had that idea for stalkers, so they have like carapace body.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I
there's
also
quite a few.
literally wanted stalkers to spawn as baby shotgunners with the full like navy breacher setup.
Oh
Occasionally.
yeah, but I mean, you know, I just think there's loads of. It's funny that in this game, it's more important for there to be enemies that have ways to stop you from instantly, easily clearing them at range, but there are fewer enemies with shields. If you see what I mean?
Yeah.
There is one enemy with shield and it makes me want to fucking kill myself, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like.
My beloved thinks the streamer is an asshole that knows nothing about anything.